a stock market investor, then feel free to go to drboystockmarket.com and join us at noon. And you can talk to me about your stocks and what you're invested in. I'll let you know what stocks I like, what I'm invested in. And also later on tonight at 8 o'clock, Jay Cameron is going to do another update on Ghana. We're getting ready for Ghana. You got to go ahead and get your travel visa together. Go ahead and get your yellow fever vaccination, stuff like that. And you can join us in Ghana. We're doing that business trip in July. So I look forward to seeing you guys in Ghana as well. It's a great place. I've been there before. I had a really great time, and I think that you will too. I know you will. I know it's in the way Jay Cameron does it is he does everything first class. So there's nothing's bootleg. Nothing's bootleg. All right. So anyway, with that said, I want to ask you guys a quick question. How many of you have heard of there's an influencer by the name of Cenat? Cenat is a young guy. He's doing really big things on the internet. A lot of people follow him, and a lot of your sons and daughters. If you don't know who he is, ask your kids. If you have a child in the house under the age of 25, ask them who Kai Cenat is, and they'll probably know who Kai Cenat is. Kai Cenat is he's a young brother that has a lot of followers, and he does something. He did something online he created called Streamers University. Streamers University. And it's really interesting. It seems to me, I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to misstate anything, but it seems like it's focused around those who want to be content creators and really sort of creating this really awesome community around people that want to create great content. And I'm all for it. I'm all with it. I think it's awesome. I wanted to kind of break some of that down for you in a way where I'm going to probably sound like a complete schizophrenic weirdo hypocrite. And the reason I go ahead and predefine myself as a schizophrenic weirdo hypocrite is because I tend to see the black and the white of things, right? I see everything in shades of gray. My obligation is to tell you the truth about what I see and look at the economic lessons that lie within that. And so I hope you can go ahead and give me permission right now to say some things that might not make sense at first, but I hope you'll at least hear me. Give me a yes if you can at least hear me on some of these ideas, because it's probably something that I found that when you say things that are not consistent with people's preconceived fantasy, they get really angry, and then what you do is you think that you can fix the anger by just giving facts and statistics, and that doesn't work. Just if you've ever been like involved in politics, you'll know that facts and statistics don't help. It only pisses people off more. It only makes them angrier, like at you, because they can't. Because then they're like, I can't win the argument by with information, so I got to win the argument by just telling you I don't want to be your friend anymore. And that's why I don't dabble in the politics stuff too much because I feel like it's too. The only politics I'll dig into is what I consider to be hardcore real black politics, which talks about what it means to build real wealth in our community, what it means for us to actually be powerful, what it means for us to be successful, what it means for us to have educated kids, what it means for us to win as a community. That's the politics I dabble into. Everything else, I don't have the energy for it. I can't get outraged just for the sake of being outraged. If I'm gonna be outraged, it better be for a good reason. So with that being said, let me go ahead and now that I've gotten your permission to be honest with you about some of the things I see and the economic lessons that are there, let me go ahead and jump in. Let me put on my finance professor hat and kind of analyze some of this for you. Now let's talk about Kai Cenat, and he's got this thing, this Streamers University, which I think is a brilliant idea. He's a brilliant guy in his own way. It's not my style. I told you that typically the black male is most likely to be famous, whether it's online or on television, if he's performing some sort of a comedic act, right? If he's either being outrageous or he's being really, really funny, or sometimes if he's an athlete or an entertainer, right? So rappers, athletes, and comedians. Those are the three pathways that the black male has carved out for him in white society. This is why the goal of getting black faces in powerful white spaces is not black excellence. That should not be the goal. The goal is to create more powerful black spaces so that we can have all the black faces there and not just the face of the comedian. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I had a friend, a guy I really respect. I think, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he might be actually the chancellor at Rutgers University. Now he's a cool dude, and he wrote a book called Black Faces in High Places. And I interviewed him. I don't have his name. He wrote the book with Dr. Randall Pinkett, who was on The Apprentice. Randall's a good friend of mine, and then this other brother, I can't Jeffrey something. I don't have his last name, but I liked him a lot. He wrote a great book called Black Faces in High Places, and I think everyone should read it. And what I do is I meditate on what you say to me, and I think about it, and I said, okay, so Black Faces in High Places. What is a high place anyway? What does that mean? Is that a place where you go get high? Is that a place that's like at the top of a building? Like, what's a high place anyway? And I think that one of the conclusions I came to is that sometimes we correlate white spaces with high places, right? We tend to sort of have a preconceived belief that high places are places that are dominated by white folks. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like we kind of believe that in order to be successful, in order to be Black excellence, you have to like leave the Black spaces and go to the white spaces that are in the high places. A lot of Black. There aren't a lot of places that are majority Black that are considered to be high places, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Right. So what that unfortunately speaks to is that if you are a Black person who wants to be a Black face in a high place, you're pretty much going to have to go to another country. Jeffrey Robinson, that's his name. Thank you, Ricardo. I appreciate that. Right. So you have to go. You have to leave your home to be in a high place. You have to like success is a foreign country. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, and it's not, and I agree with you that someone says it's crazy that people think that, and I do think it's crazy, but this is what slavery does. This is what oppression, Jim Crow, 400 years of being trained to believe that other people are better than us. This is what it did to us. This is what it did to you. It's what it did to me. It did to all of us. And so I said, maybe Black excellence and Black power is not represented by Black faces in high places. Maybe it's represented by um, more Black spaces that are defined as high places. Because there's a lot of high places that were made into high places because they brought in Black faces. Do you understand? Let me explain. Jackie Robinson's kicking ass over in the Negro Leagues, and that's becoming a high place. The Negro Leagues was becoming the place where you had to go if you wanted access to the best baseball players on the planet. But then because we associate white spaces with high places, we Jackie gets an opportunity to go play in the Major League Baseball. So he says, "Ooh, I'm a Black face in a high place." So therefore, what happened was that the Black space that was becoming a high place doesn't become a high place. Do you understand? You abort the baby before it's born because you don't believe there's any value there. You kind of get rid of it. You threw the Negro Leagues to the side because you wanted to be in a high place. When really it's kind of this belief that his ice is always colder. So Black power is not represented by Black faces in high places because even those Black faces are surrounded by a culture and by individuals who do not align with their interests. So if you are a Black face in a high place and you come in and you say, "Hey y'all, let's all get together and let's go elevate the Black community," well, they're gonna look at you like you crazy. They're gonna be like, "Why would we go elevate the Black community? I didn't grow up there." No, you Negro, you need to be happy that we saved you. We saved you from the Black community. We got you out of the hood. Why in the world would you go back? I know I'm not going back, and Sarah isn't going back, and Tom isn't going back because we were never from that place in the first place. So you were adopted into our family like you're Gary Coleman on Different Strokes. What you talking about, Willis? And you better just play your position, Negro, or we're gonna send you back to your Black place, and because we don't want to go there. And this is something that I think we don't always understand. When I got to Syracuse University, I was a Black face in a high place. I was the only Black man on the planet to get a PhD in finance that year. So I was a Black face in a high place. So when I'm like, hey, I want to do work for the Black community, they're like, why? like, why would you ever want to do that? That's not interesting. That's not important work. What's important is working on our community because that's what we paid you to do. So you're a Black face in a so-called high place, but they're like, you're a Black face in my place, in our place. So what we need are more places. We don't need more faces in white spaces. We need more Black faces in Black spaces that have Black power. And sometimes when you're trying to be the Black face in the high place, quote, air quotes, you are depleting power from the Black space that would have become a high place if you had kept your ass where you were at. Do you understand? If you had kept, it stayed where you were supposed to be, then that place would have been a high place. Your family would have been a high place. Your community would have been a high place. Your marriage would have been a high place. But instead, you left all that. I mean, think about how many people just. I mean, let's just go real deep with it real quick. I'm gonna get to the Cenat thing in a minute. Y'all know how I am. Think about it real deep. Think about how many people will literally like. not even build a family because they put their career high on the priority list. I've seen it all the time. I've seen it with men and women where they literally will be like, they'll be like, well, why didn't you ever get a wife and kids? Well, because I was so into my career so I was so interested in making in being a black face in a high place that I didn't that not only did I deplete and take energy away from my family, I made sure my family didn't even exist so that I could go build somebody else's business. And then you're 45 years old and all you got is a career. You ain't got nothing that's really yours because the day you die at your desk because they've overworked you, they're going to sweep you up, scrape you off your desk, and replace you within a week. They'll say, thank you for your service. We appreciate you. We don't know why you were crazy enough to abandon what was yours to come and help us, but we're thankful that you did it. Have a nice life. So really what I would say to you is that when I think about high black spaces that could be high places, when you have a strong family, that's a high place. If you've ever seen a black family where the father and the mother poured extensively into their children, you see a high place. You see a multi-million dollar family business. This is real stuff. I've seen this. This happens. We've got people in the black business school who are living this in real life. You see a business generating hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. You see education at the absolute highest level. Black people who properly homeschool their children end up with the most educated kids. There was one sister who was in this class who had two sons that both went to MIT at the age of four. One went to MIT at 14, the other went to MIT at 15. She took her sons out of the public schools and said, "We're going to do this ourselves." And high places, it could be that black owned business or whatever it is, right? So what I'm saying to you is that you can't have high places in your community if you never invest in anything. We've talked about this, and ultimately that whole idea of black faces in high places needs to be rethought. And instead of black faces in white places, we need black faces in black places that are going to become high places because so many black faces are investing in it. Give me an amen. Give me a yes or in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. Let me know if you get what I'm saying. Okay, so let's hop back into this conversation about that Kai Cenat thing and the Streamers University thing. This was something that was on my mind as I was at the gym, and I wanted to share this with you because a lot of you have sons and daughters that might be in that demographic. Some of you are in the demographic. We have young people in here too, and I want to kind of give you something called prospect theory in finance that became kind of my concern when I saw what was kind of going on with that. And it's not about him. It's not me pointing out Kai Cenat, Kai. That's how you spell his name. It's really me sort of giving you a financial lesson and helping you understand just how economics sort of works in this whole thing. All right, so here's the deal. So when he created this big thing called Streamers University, and it looks like millions of people were really into it, and it became like this big bonanza. He broke the internet. God bless him for that. I thought about this in terms of content creators and how the content creator economy has really grown. I started off I made my first YouTube video in 2007, so I was lucky enough to be one of the early adopters. One of the biggest mistakes I made though was I didn't stick with it. I didn't think YouTube was going anywhere. So I went and did other stuff, and then I did a lot of TV and all that. And then I circled back around 2013 and said, "Whoa, this YouTube thing is really taking off." So that's when I started consistently creating content. So even in 2013, I was still early. 2020, everybody became a content creator. Everybody, because the whole world shut down. Everybody was inside the house. Nobody, people weren't going to their jobs anymore. A lot of entertainers started getting involved with content creation online. That's the stuff that they would have ignored before. Like the YouTube and internet was kind of seen as like this sort of side thing that you did if you couldn't get on TV or if you couldn't get a regular job and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't care what people think. I would tell people, I'd say, actually, the internet's pretty amazing. You should really look into it. And a lot of people wouldn't listen because they were off doing other stuff. Well, the pandemic got everybody's attention, and everybody was stuck at home. So you started seeing people set up their YouTube channels. That was when a lot of great platforms started off. I think the Earn Your Leisure guys kind of got really moving during the pandemic, etc. Right? So a lot of people, Ice Cube, I remember Ice Cube calling during the pandemic, and we talked, and he started doing more stuff online because he said, I don't have anything to do now. I was on tour, I was doing this and doing that. Now the pandemic shut everything down. So suddenly the world was flooded with content creators. And the thing is that Gen Zers are the ones who are most likely to be impacted by it. I think a very large percentage of Gen Zers, pretty much have a plan to be professional content creators. And so what I thought I would do that would be interesting is to kind of talk about not just what Kai's doing with the Streamers University, but really talk about content creation as a profession. I'm not the best content creator in the world. My cameras are mediocre. My content bores people if their attention span isn't longer than 30 seconds. There are people that love me, and I love y'all too. And I have a lot of great people that follow. I have about 1.5 million followers on different platforms. But for the most part, I don't consider myself to be the best among content creators. I'm just a guy. I'm a professor who talks about economics and finance, and I just say, well, whoever wants to listen, I'm here. Let's talk, right? So I know a little bit about content creation, but I'm probably better than most. But I'd say my strength might be the consistency, right? I've probably done about 24,000 YouTube videos to this point, and I can say we're approaching like a billion views. So in the content creator space, you could say I'm kind of an OG in the game, but I can't. I'm not at Kai Cenat's level. This guy is just doing great things. He's really getting a lot of attention on his stuff. Now, here's what I wanted to give you in terms of some stats, though, that you might want to share with your kids if they're thinking about trying to become full-time content creators. First off, I'm going to say if their goal is to become a full-time content creator and make money with content, I'm really against that, honestly. I think content creation is better as a hobby than it is as a full-time profession. I even on all those channels, like all those subscribers we have and everything, it's so fickle. I've been demonetized on channels with 400,000 or 500,000 followers. I think on Facebook I had 3 million followers. They took 1.2 million, just got taken by a scammer. We had Facebook come in and shut down a page that has 600,000 or 700,000 followers, so they can just shut you down like that. Which is a huge business risk, and so you get this big following, and you're living off this, and then suddenly you're done, and that really speaks to the fact that we're not trained as well as I think we should be on risk assessment when it comes to business. A lot of us think that making good money means everything's okay, when really the first thing you should think about it when you're making good money is how do I protect what I have? Because once you get something that's really good, either someone's going to try to take it or you're vulnerable because if something happens and you become financially addicted, you meaning you become accustomed, you become used to getting the cash flow. You're used to getting whatever, economic rewards are coming from that. If something happens and it gets shut off, it's very, very jarring to the system. It's a financial trauma. That's what we talk about in our Black financial therapy department is that there's so much economic trauma that can happen when you haven't properly assessed the risk factors. Like, for example, having one job, you think you have job security, but really there's no security in having one stream of income because if that stream gets shut off, you're done, right? So multiple streams of income should be a standard that's really taught to any young person in any family. Now, here are a few stats about content creation that you might want to share with your kids in terms of why they may not want to try to become full-time content creators. I think everybody should create something for fun, like have your Instagram, YouTube, but it's really, really hard. And it got much harder after the pandemic to build a following. I dare say that even though I have a big following and I have, well, it's funny, I had 500,000 followers on Instagram. Facebook just came and shut down my Instagram. So I had to start over again. Now I have about 140,000, which is better than most, but it's still not where we were. I mean, we'd be at 600,000 or 700,000 by now, right? So this happens, right? And so what's happened? But here's the thing. Even though I can say I have these followers and I've done okay, I don't know if I could have done it if I'd started after the pandemic. I don't know. Like, let's say I decided in 2022, oh yeah, I want to be a content creator and I don't know if I know for a fact. In fact, I'm not going to say I don't know. I do know that starting in 2022 is very different from starting in 2007, 2010, 2013, right? If you consider 2013 to be my official start point where I really got serious about it, there's no comparison, right? So effectively, content creation has become a flooded market, and a lot of young people are falling for the banana in the tailpipe. In fact, let me give you some quick stats just so you can kind of know that I'm not just giving my opinion here. How many of you know that only 12% of full-time content creators make more than 50,000 a year? So that means 88% of them make less than 50,000. The top 12% can make 50,000 or above. Over 90% of YouTubers earn less than $2.50 per thousand views. So that means if you have a blockbuster video that gets 100,000 views, that's going to make you a whopping $250. That is very little money for that many views. Also, less than 5% of TikTok creators earn enough to support themselves full time. So less than 5%. So 95% of TikTok creators do not make enough money to pay rent or a mortgage or to pay their car note, things like that. But a lot of them are aspirational. They're sort of, chasing the dream. I compare it to hoop dreams. I compare it to all the millions of little black boys who sacrifice everything to try to get to the NBA, even though their chances of getting to the NBA are about, I want to say about 1% of 1%, like one out of every 5,000 or 10,000 or something are going to make it, but you'll have all 10,000 thinking that they're going to be the next LeBron James, right? What else? The average income for creators with fewer than 10,000 followers is basically about $1,400 a month. Now, which can help though, right? Right. So if you you create something, you can make like a little bit of extra money. You can make gas money, beer money, maybe some car note money if you're good. But the odds of making a full-time income are extremely low. Now, to give you some theory to kind of connect it to, there's something called prospect theory, where it's some, by two guys that won the Nobel Prize named Kahneman and Tversky. And they talk about this in terms of investing because wherever you put your time, wherever you put your money, that is an investment. So if I put my time into becoming a content creator, I'm investing. I'm investing in content creation as a pathway to wealth. Well, Kahneman and Tversky concluded in prospect theory that people they tend to overvalue the slim possibility of massive success, like going viral, making big stuff like that, and they undervalue the probability of failure. And that's connected to something called survivorship bias. Survivorship bias means that if I'm a young content creator and I see Mr. Beast or I see Kai Cenat, then I'm going to assume that this is kind of typical to some extent. Not that this is overly common, but I might look at that and say, "Oh, I can be the next Mr. Beast." But what they don't show you are the millions and millions and millions of people who tried to be Mr. Beast and never became Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is a beast. He's great at what he does. Kai is great at what he does. But most people don't get to become that. And what they show you is they show you the glaring success, but they don't show you the millions of people who failed. So it reminds me of the movie The Hunger Games. If you ever saw The Hunger, anybody, how many of y'all saw The Hunger Games? Give me a guess if you remember that movie and if you think you know what I'm going to talk about. How many of y'all saw The Hunger Games? Give me a yes in the chat. The Hunger Games is a great movie about economics because what The Hunger Games does is it illustrates survivorship bias due to the fact that what they do is they'll have the Hunger Games where 30 people go in an arena and murder each other, and then like there's two people left or something, and they'll take those two people and parade them to the masses and say, if you behave, you'll get a chance to be like these two people. But they don't show you all the millions of people that are still in poverty. They don't show you the fact that all 30 people that went into that arena, out of the 32 people that go in the arena, 30 of them die, right? They just show you the two that lived and you identify with the two that survived. That's survivorship bias. Survivorship bias is one of the biggest poisons in the world of economics. It's one of the biggest rope-a-dopes. It's a banana in the tailpipe. It's where you get hoodwinked, you get bamboozled, run amok, led astray. It's a lie. It's from straight from the depths of hell. But people will feed you dreams and let you pay for those dreams, and then your dreams don't work out, and you just do it anyway, right? And there's one person, there's a person at the king of the hill that's getting all this money, like kind of like some of the pastors in some of these churches. I ain't gonna lie to you, some of the churches, not all of them. I don't hate the black church. I just hate the ones that are not doing their job properly. Some of these churches, that's what they do. They sell you something pie in the sky. They say put your money in the donation bucket, and then everybody's broke except the pastor. The churches I respect the most are the churches that have a wealth plan that allows everybody to win. Like for example, when I went to Daylight Christian Center in Detroit, I had no problem that the pastor wasn't poor. I had no problem with the fact that they seemed to have nice clothes and nice cars. What made me really happy though was that they were showing the whole congregation an ecosystem that allows everybody to have a nice car. Everybody can have nice clothes. Everybody can win. And this is one of the reasons why I love investing, right? Like there are things I can tell you, and I've told you some of these things about stock market investing, like a Black Wealth Master Plan, stuff like that, where literally every single one of you, every one of you can actually have a tremendous amount of wealth. Like literally, I swear to you, I put it on a stack of Bibles. I put it on my grandmother's name. Y'all know how I feel about my grandma. I could literally tell you in about 2 minutes how every single person in this room could be a millionaire if you give me enough time. We've talked about this, so I don't have to reiterate this point. You give me 30 years, you have a simple wealth plan. Every single person in this room that follows that plan will be a millionaire, but it takes time. It's not fast money because that's the don't last money. I'm not here to sell you a lie or sell you a dream. I'm here, or in fact, actually, if you buy a dream, dreams are important. Dreams are great, but I tend to prefer the dreams that have a chance of becoming reality. I don't like hoop dreams, but I do like wealth dreams, right? I don't like these hip hop dreams, but I do like dreams of having a great family and black economic power, right? And so when you talk about millions of black boys who all want to be NBA players, and 99.9% of them would never will make a nickel playing basketball. I'd rather if we're gonna give them a dream, and it's okay for them to have I think dreams are important. Dreams will drive you. Dreams will motivate you. Dreams give you your why. I got dreams. Anybody else got dreams? How many of y'all got dreams? I love dreams. Dreams are great, right? But it's got to be a dream that makes sense. It's got to be a dream that's actually has a probability of success, and that's significant. And when you look at all the little black boys that want to get to the NBA, just to give you some stats, only 0.03% of high school basketball players are going to go pro. I'm not talking about point zero. I'm not talking about 0.03% of all the black boys that want to get to the NBA. I'm talking about the ones who actually made the basketball team. I've met boys who didn't even make who talking about who think they're gonna go pro and didn't even make the damn team. So 0.03%. That's like I think it's almost about one in every thousand or something, or a little bit less than that, a little bit more than that, but something like that. All right, so let's see. For football, just 0.08% of high school football players are going to make it to the NFL. So it means if you take 1%, and you let me make sure I get the math right. If you take 1% and you cut it into 12 pieces, one of those pieces represents that one kid who's gonna make it to the NFL. And then even if they make it to the NFL, their careers are very short. It's like 2.5 years. So NFL doesn't stand for National Football League. NFL stands for not for long. Your career is usually gonna be pretty short. And all you're gonna get is, maybe make a couple dollars and get some brain damage to go with it, but that's about it. Also, there's a 2016 study that showed over 60% of black boys believe they're gonna become pro athletes, which is absolutely insane. 60% of black boys believe they're gonna become pro athletes. That is what's the word? That's a mental virus. That's a virus, and we got to eradicate that virus. That's a virus. In fact, I'm gonna do my Dr. Fauci imitation right now, and tell you that that's a virus that needs to be fixed, and the vaccine is black wealth and financial literacy. That's the vaccine. You got to get these boys, snap them out of this nonsense. I'm not saying they can't play sports. Sports are great, just like content creation's great. I think content creation's fun. I love making content, but Lord Jesus, some of these things need to be hobbies. And the reality is that most grown men do not get to make money playing a children's sport. Most grown men can look back and say, "Yeah, I played basketball in high school because that was a kid's game. I ran track in high school when I was young." Most men are not gonna be 30 years old saying I made my money because I just ran in the Olympics, or I made my money, you know, dunking on LeBron. Like, but that does not happen very often. And the idea that so many black boys have been sold that dream, that prospect theory, that survivorship bias should absolutely alarm you, because this has a multi-trillion dollar loss on the black community. This causes a multi-trillion dollar economic loss on the black community. Why? Well, because what is economics? Economics is the study of the allocation of scarce resources. The allocation of scarce resources. That's one branch of economics. Your time is a scarce resource. Give me a yes if you have only 24 hours in a day. How many of you only have 24 hours in a day? Because if you figured out how to have more than 24 hours in a day, I need to know what you did, because you're living in a parallel universe. So we've all only got 24 hours in a day. That's a scarce resource. We only have so much attention. That's a scarce resource. We only have so much energy. That's a scarce resource. So what happens when you have millions of black boys that take their scarce resource called time, and they say, instead of spending 2 hours a day learning how to build a business and invest, I'm going to spend 2 hours a day at basketball practice. Some would say that that's a misallocation of a scarce resource, not because basketball is bad, not because sports are bad. I met a brother the other day who's a pro athlete, and he said, "Sports taught me everything about life." And I said, "Yeah, sports does. Sports taught me a lot about life too." But the problem is that many of them really think this is going to be their profession. And what happens is, not only are they investing in sports as if it's going to be a profession, they're investing in sports culture as if that's going to be their lifestyle. Because unfortunately, the athlete rapper culture is not pro family typically. It's not pro black. typically. When rappers are called, every other word is nigga, 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 right? Because some Jewish man told them to say it on a record, right? The rapper athlete culture is not pro health, not pro physical health or mental health. Any culture that's telling you to go and sleep with 10,000 women and get a bunch of girls pregnant, catch diseases, smoke weed, get high all day, whatever, go drinking at the club, put your money in a stripper thong, all that cultural baggage, the glorification of drug dealers. I mean, I could keep going. I could keep going. The glorification of criminal behavior, which happens too much in hip hop. All these things are very anti-black wealth. They're anti-black family. Because it's very, very hard when that guy finally realizes at 29 years old that he's never going to make it to the NBA, and he spent the last decade, um, with a lifestyle that pretty much consisted of liquor, weed, and women. And he's got a couple babies, mamas out there, and a lot of baggage, maybe a bankruptcy or two, maybe he's got some debt from the time he was in the NBA for 25 minutes or whatever it is. Then he's 30 years old trying to become a husband and a father to a family, and he doesn't see how he can do that. Right? It's hard to do that when you have a culture that breeds various forms of addiction and just behavior that's very draining on you, meaning you're tired, right? You're paying babies mamas. You're sad because your dreams did not get fulfilled. You didn't invest in education the way you should have. You don't know much about starting businesses, things like that. I mean, I know former professional athletes. There are stories out there about former professional athletes who were so damaged by the fact that they weren't able to make that same money that they became drug dealers. There are former athletes in prison for right now for various forms of fraud and drug dealing because they were trying to figure out like how in the world can I make $100,000 a month, $200,000 a month like I did when I was playing in the league. So when these young boys who've invested all their energy into this athlete rapper dream, right? Because we have an oversupply of 30-year-old rappers, 40-year-old rappers. When they overinvest in the rapper athlete dream, and they haven't even considered the husband father dream or the black business owner dream or the community leader dream, then what happens is that there's a misalignment between 30-year-old black men and 30-year-old black women. The 30-year-old black woman was never fed that dream. She never thought she was going to make all her money rapping or going to the WNBA. She didn't think that she should go out and, get on Molly's and Percocets and have baby daddies and all this other stuff. A lot of them, were given a different dream, which was go to school, work hard, get your master's degree or whatever. So they're 30 years old saying, okay, I got my master's, I got my good job. Now I'm looking for a husband. And in many cases, you see a misalignment in the maturity levels, in the capability levels of black men and black women. Tell me if you've seen this. A lot of the women that I talk to tell me that they want to settle down and they're meeting men who just aren't interested in any of that because they were never raised to even value settling down. I got married because that's what my dad did, and I thought that fatherhood and manhood was connected to being responsible for a family. That's why I did it. I didn't do it because it's easy. I didn't do it because it's always fun. I didn't do it because it's the most lit way to live your life. I did it because that was the standard that was set before. And if you've never seen that before, then why would you expect someone to embrace a culture that they're not even familiar with? Right? If you've inundated yourself with the athlete rapper drug infected culture, hypersexual culture, like a new woman. There was a guy, Winston Bennett, that played for the University of Kentucky, and he was on the cover of ESPN, I think because he said that he had sex with 90 women a month or something, which is insane. I did the math. I said, wow, that's 3 women a day. That's a lot of women, right? And so there's no way a person like that can just shut that down, that addiction, that extreme addiction down and say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna commit to a wife and kids." That those are two different lifestyles. And so ultimately what I would say to you is that when you're talking about yeah, and that's I agree. Steve says that's an STD waiting to happen. I don't know how you could have sex with 90 people a month and not catch an STD. I just that is beyond me. I think he tried to get married. I think he was married like a couple of weeks or something. And some people can't it just doesn't work, right? So my point is to say that there's a massive economic loss in the black community because your men get distracted at an early age. This is one of the reasons why I make the very radical statement that I think black children should be educated by black people. I think that what happens is that the world has a typecast for the black male. The world has a reward feedback system that's designed to brainwash the black male and basically make him believe early. Look, if you want to be a black face in a high place, you're pretty much gonna most of the time have to be an athlete, a rapper, or a comedian. Every now and then, though, you can be that one black lawyer in the firm. You can be that one black professor in the department, or whatever, which was what I was, right? But even then, you're not empowered to reach your fullest potential. And a lot of that comes back to the fact that we don't have enough black spaces that become high places because the black faces in those black spaces leave those spaces, just like Jackie Robinson was enticed to leave the Negro Leagues. Do you understand? So it's all connected. So let me finish up my point here. Before I move on with that, um, don't forget that tonight, Jay Cameron is doing the update on Ghana. If you want to go to Ghana with us, by the way, or any travel experience, just text the word travel to the number 87948 on your phone. So text travel to 87948. Also, if you want to, if you're not a member of the morning the Money in the Morning Club, or you're not part of our economic elevations that we do every morning, text the word morning to the number 87948, MORNING. Text morning to 87948, and I'll send you a notification each morning, and you can join us for our financial conversation. Now, a couple more stats I want to just give you in terms of why I think it's very dangerous for your child. If they come to you and say, I want to be a professional content creator, I want you to tell them about the California Gold Rush. That's what content creation has become. It's become a modernized version of the California Gold Rush. How many of you know? So in 1849, there was a big California Gold Rush, and what most people don't know is that most of the people who went out west looking for gold in them their hills, they actually came back poorer than they were when they left. So the thing that you thought was going to make you rich actually left you broke. And this is a big this is common in various types of investments. This is why I always remind you, be careful about chasing waterfalls. If you're emotional, which black people tend to be very emotional, it's easy to sell us a waterfall. It's easy to sell false inspiration, false hope. That's why some of the crooked pastors do so well. That's why there's so many people that will sign up for things like blessing looms, or they call them susus, but they're not really susus. Anything that involves like, you get two people and those two people get two people. That could technically be a Ponzi scheme, and Ponzi schemes eventually fall apart. So the thing that you think is going to make you rich very quickly usually does not. And so one of the things that I can tell you is 9 times out of 10, anything that involves fast money is just you got to look for the other shoe to drop. You have to take your time and do your research on it, because I see a lot of people jumping into stuff. Like, for example, day trading is one of those things where it's not like it's impossible for people to make money day trading, but 90% of all day traders do not make a profit. They just end up exhausted because and stressed out because you're constantly watching your stocks and watching your tickers and everything else. Now, swing trading can be a little bit different. That's a little bit more of a patient version of trading where you're trading consistently, but you're doing swings. But even that's still somewhat difficult, but it's a little bit easier. Long-term investing is guaranteed money, but you have to have the ability and the desire to give one important thing that most people don't have, which is patience. You have to let money grow like a flower. If you don't let your money grow, then your money won't grow. But if you see long-term industry developments that are going to lead to wealth, then it's pretty direct and simple to make moves that are going to position you for the long term. Real estate is a great, consistent way to generate long-term wealth because real estate values tend to go up over time. Learning entrepreneurial skills, particularly sales, is like gold. I think that we need less college students going to college to major in business management, and more college students majoring in business development. What in the hell, if you have a degree in business management, but you don't know how to build a business, then what the hell are you going to manage? You're like a driver with no car. So before you learn how to drive, maybe you should learn how to get a car or build a car or something. And then you learn how to drive once you get the car, or maybe you learn both at the same time. Your skill set is not complete if you are walking around with a hammer and you don't even have a nail to use the hammer on, or you're looking for something to hammer and there's nothing there. So infrastructure is critically important in the black community. That's what the community needs. We don't need more black faces in white spaces. We don't need more people that know how to manage white-owned businesses. We need people that are actually know how to build the things that we are that are actually going to build true wealth in the community. All right, so rather than having all the black boys learning how to play basketball, football, tell jokes, and rap. In addition to that, nothing wrong with rapping, nothing wrong with telling jokes. If that's what you want to do, then go for it, for sure. I'm not here to disparage anybody. But in addition to that, every single black male in America that wants to be successful and wants to survive needs to know the basics of investing and starting a business. Every single black male anywhere in anybody's family, anywhere in America needs to know how to create economic opportunities. Every black male listening, every black person who knows a black male, who has a black male that you love, must absolutely, positively, 100% ensure that they understand how to navigate this complex, racist economic system so that they're not spending their lives knocking on doors and getting rejected constantly. I get tired of that. It makes me very sad when we feel that we can only succeed if a white man decides we're going to succeed. If we only have an opportunity, if he decides to give us an opportunity. What are you, his pet? What are you, like a little boy? Are you a little midget where he's petting you on the head and saying, "Good boy, here's an opportunity, here's a treat," like feeding you like a little dog? That's disrespectful to me. I'm sorry. I didn't grow up around the dogs. My father was not a dog. He was not a pet. He was not a little boy. I was raised by a grown man. And in my world, a grown man is a man who says, okay, well, you know what? I will partner with you, but I'm not interested in being a subordinate to someone who has shown that they don't have my best interests at heart. Someone who has shown that they don't care about my community. They don't want me to do well. They're not supporting me. They much rather put me in prison than to actually see me shine. So I'm going to have to find a way around you. I'm not going to go through you or make you like Jesus, where everything, in order for me to ascend to God, I got to go through you. No, I got other channels. So when I'm facing systematic racism, one thing I understand very clearly, because I was listening to this weird guy on the internet called Dr. Boyce Watkins, is I understand that systematic racism is highly conditional upon the system to which you've committed. Systematic racism is something that is dependent on the system that you're choosing. It's like walking into a building. If you think of a system like a building, if I go into a building and I say the air in this building is poisonous, that doesn't mean all air is poisonous. That means the air in that building is poisonous. The air in that system is poisonous. That is an oppressive system, but that does not mean you have to be in that system. So boys and girls, boys I'm talking about in particular, because it's the black male that's really getting his ass kicked right now financially. The black male must learn how to develop alternative systems or to identify alternative pathways that include the word options so that he knows different ways to succeed. He has to have a Swiss Army knife, a whole collection of different ways to make money. All right. That's why we talk to our kids about keeping their poise. POISE, producer, owner, investor, saver, entrepreneur. He needs to know all these things and know them very well. Know them. He needs to know how to start a business as well as he knows how to dribble a basketball. He needs to know how to make an investment as well as he knows how to run the 40-yard dash. He needs to know how to get together with his boys and his friends and his family and create something where nothing may have existed before. He needs to be able to see wealth in all of its forms. The same way a quarterback can see different defensive schemes, he needs to understand that the ultimate defense is the defense they have that's blocking you from the success that you deserve. There are so many talented people. There's $1 trillion worth of talent in our community that never gets explored, never gets fully developed, because the only way that talent gets exercised is if a white person decides it's going to be allowed. I talked to a young lady one time at a HBCU, and I remember she was really talented at art. And she would draw these, she would make these beautiful artistic layouts, but it would be like something interesting. It'd be weird. It'd be like a Nike ad. And I'd be like, why are you making Nike ads and you don't work for Nike? And she would say, that's my dream. I want to be able to do marketing for Nike. I want to do advertising for Nike. And I said, that's cool. That's a nice dream. I said, but so you're telling me that the only way you'll get to explore your talent as an artist and in your talent in advertising is if Nike decides that you're going to be allowed to do what you do best, right? Like you're literally sitting there on $1 million worth of talent, and it's not going to be activated unless Nike decides that they want to hire you for a job. And then at that point, they're going to be able to extract all the benefits that come from your talent. I said, I think you might want to think outside the box a little bit and realize that if you are an advertiser or if you are an artist, that is what you are, regardless of whether or not Nike ever hires you. That's what you are. So the challenge for you is not to sit and wait by the phone for Nike to call you. The challenge for you is to figure out how do you start some space, create some space that's yours, a black space that allows you to express your talent in advertising. You can't build wealth in a community if you keep giving your talent and your resources away. Do you understand? And one of the biggest brainwashing mechanisms that we're constantly fighting against is the way we are trained from birth to sit around and wait for somebody else to give us a damn job. That jobs are created. You can create jobs in your own community. You just have to have the skill set to do it. And we don't get the skill set. Well, why? Well, because we're getting educated by people who don't ever want us to have those skills. So it's going to be up to us to do that. We have to activate that. If we don't activate that, then we'll always be stuck. Okay. So anyway, a couple more quick pieces of information about the gold rush in content creation is there's about 200 million people around the world who identify as content creators, and less than 4% actually earn a living wage from content creation. So my point is to say, is not to throw away anybody's dreams of starting a YouTube channel. It's really to say, if you do content creation, it should be in conjunction with other skill sets that you develop, business development, marketing, everything else. Because just making videos and hoping that YouTube is going to pay you is not just a failed business model for the most part, but it's going to probably get even worse over time. Because what happened, for example, in the music industry, is that the tech giants took over music and they started to digitize everything, and so Spotify makes a killing. The artists on Spotify don't make jack. So the originators of the music, the artists who are going to be replaced by AI pretty much, because AI can simulate any artist at any time. They can make Drake songs or whatever, probably better than Drake can. The artists aren't making money from Spotify, but if you go look at Spotify and I show you the stock price on Spotify, I want you to see this. I'm actually going to put this on the screen. As I do that, make sure you text the word morning to 87948 if you want to join us every day. For those of you that don't know yet, let me show you the Spotify stock price. I'm a stockholder in Spotify. I've made a lot of money from owning Spotify stock. So let me show you the stock price on Spotify and what it's kind of looked like in the last year, last 5 years or whatever. Okay. So hold on, let me get this off the screen. Sorry. So this is what it did today. 11% this month. 40, it's gone up 40% the last 6 months. Last year it's gone up 114%. The last 5 years has gone up 268%. The market cap of Spotify is $137 billion dollars. So Spotify, I'm gonna guess maybe they make, I don't know, 50 million a day or something, 100, 10 million a day. I don't know what their total revenues are, or what their daily revenue actually is, but I'm sure it's quite high. And I know that artists like Snoop Dogg have complained about how they can have a song that gets a billion views and not make very much money. So what I would say is, um, the best way for our kids to do well in the future is to really understand technology. In fact, if you remember, we talked in our Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program for kids. We talk about building sturdy children. Sturdy, STERDY, STERDY. Sturdy stands for Systems, Technology, Entrepreneurship, Relationships, and Delegation for the youth. Systems, kids should learn how to develop alternative systems in case the systematic racism creeps into their career. Technology means that you learn the latest technology so you can scale whatever you're doing. Entrepreneurship is the ideation, the ability to manifest and become the economic god of your universe by having an idea and seeing a vision or seeing wealth, even when no one else sees it, and being able to manifest that and create an infrastructure that allows you to extract that. Relationships are a critical aspect of wealth because good relationships lead to the ability to build teams and build partnerships that help you get what you need. And delegation is a result of good relationships, because once I build good relationships and good economic trading partners, I can delegate tasks to other people, which allows me to be much more productive than I can be when I do things all by myself. But to be able to apply the sturdy model, you have to take the time to do things like therapy so you can learn how to be a good partner. You can be a good friend, things like that. I'm really against the more dastardly aspects of hip hop culture, because a lot of that is very anti relationship building. It's very alpha male driven, very narcissist driven. I told you extensively about my conversations with Kanye West, and I said to my wife, I said, I have no idea how anybody could do business with this man or build a business with him at all. I see he had hundreds of millions of dollars. I was like, I could give him ideas on how he could deploy 2% of that and literally make transformative changes in the black community. But when we get on the phone and your whole conversations about how great you are and how you're better than everybody else, I don't know what to do with that. That's not a good business partner. I think he even told the CEO of Adidas, he said, I don't listen to people who make less money than me. And so even Adidas realized, unfortunately, that part of hip hop culture, which is very toxic. You see that happening with the Diddy trial and everything else. I'm not talking about all hip hop. I'm not talking about every rapper, but y'all know what I'm talking about. That is just not conducive for good business relationships. Nobody wants a trading partner who's a full-time asshole. Nobody wants that. So teaching children things that are not popular, things that look square, things that look like simping, which is like humility, kindness, decency, those are skill sets that actually yield tremendous amounts of economic benefit, actually long term. You can be confident, you can be strong, you can be capable, but you don't have to be an asshole. In fact, Dr. Ken Harris has a saying that I love, where he said, "Negroes with egos is a no-go." So everything that you see that's being promoted in black male culture coming from hip hop that says I'm the man, I'm the king, I'm better than you, everything's very competitive. That is not typically very collaborative. And I hope you can understand when I'm connecting the dots for you here. I want to connect the dots and help you understand that this is why hip hop has never built anything for the black community. Hip hop has never, I mean, you can't point to a black owned hospital that came out of hip hop. You can't point to a black owned automobile manufacturing plant that came out of hip hop. You can't talk about any significant infrastructure that came out of hip hop culture, even though we're the black faces and the white spaces and the hype spaces and all that. We're not the beneficiaries as a community because the collaborative energy required to build vast economic ecosystems is simply not there. If you look at the white boys, you look over at Apple. Apple has thousands of people, mostly white and Indian, who are working together in a collaborative fashion, who are accomplishing major things. They built a multi-trillion dollar company. Tim Cook, the CEO, he doesn't come out and say, "Look at me flex, y'all. Look at how many billions I got in my bank account, y'all." He's not making rap songs about how he's richer than you and better than you. He could do that. I mean, the man controls the freaking iPhone. He's worth billions of dollars. He can do all kinds of flexing, but he doesn't do that because he knows that that's not conducive to his ability to run a company and to be able to maintain healthy relationships with thousands of internal employees as well as thousands of partners that are outside the organization. Ecosystems are required to build wealth, and building ecosystems requires healthy relationships, which is why, if you want to contribute to this, if you want to be a part of this, get your damn therapy. Get therapy so you can calm down and learn how to be a healthy partner for the people that you deal with, starting with your damn spouse, starting with your children, starting with your parents, starting with your siblings, starting with your best friends, starting with your business partners. If you do that, I guarantee you that you will find that it will be much easier to navigate the world in peace, in strength, and in prosperity instead of playing the struggle game that you see so often in our community. Now, in case you want to know, Spotify made $13 billion in 2023. They make $36 million a day. I said 10 million a day to 50 million a day. So it's right in the middle, 36 billion. Those are the people that are making the money. It's the technologists, it's the people that know how to build things. It's not people that are rapping and telling jokes for a living, or that's not where the money's at. So anyway, and also even in sports, like I said, 99% of black boys who play basketball will never make a nickel playing basketball. So there has to be something outside of the basketball practice that you're doing that's going to prepare you for the real game, which is the game of life. All right, I know I said a lot. Thank you for listening. I appreciate that. Before we go, really quick, the Estate Planning Club is going to meet tomorrow night. That's Legacy Investors for Tomorrow, Lift, Lift. So if you are interested in estate planning, wills, and trusts and stuff like that, we're going to bring in an expert this week. So you can go to drboycelift.com. Somebody type that in the chat, please. drboycelift.com. Also, the Crypto Club meets this week. We're going deep diving on crypto. And so if you go to b1crypto.com, you can join the Crypto Club. So b1crypto.com or drboycelift.com. And also, of course, if you text the word morning to the number 87948, I will invite you to this class. I know most of you have, but if you haven't, I'll do it. In fact, at some point, I'll send you the Zoom link again. So that those of you that want to come into the private Zoom will be able to register for the Zoom. Some of you may not be registered. That's why you have to watch from outside the Zoom. So anyway, have a good day, everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much for your time. And if I said something that was off-putting or offensive just talk it up to the fact that God ain't through with me yet. I am not perfect. Sometimes the message does not come out in the way I want it to come out, but I gotta say it. I'm just saying it. It's raw. It's just me, and I hope you can forgive me if this version of me is not a perfect version, because my goal is not to ruffle feathers. It's just to make the damn point, because at some point we have to get the point, and the point is that what we're doing right now is not working. We got to do something different. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. I'll see you all actually later on today for stock market investing, but I'll see you also tomorrow. So take